Right, so Rusba said, is Salah's news true? If yes, I'm ecstatic. So, as the day has progressed, there's been more and more stuff starting to come out around the situation with Mo. And there was a journalist, let me just grab his name here for you. So, there was a journalist whose name, I believe, is at Masraoui. So, Masraoui if you're on social. And this story said, it makes a lot of sense that Mohamed Salah is now getting much closer to renewing with Liverpool because Liverpool know basically that they have a bigger pot of money now because Trent isn't there. And it's common sense, but I just hope that we do get to that point where we get the positive outcome. David Ornstein, speaking about this, said Liverpool are optimistic that both will renew their contracts and that it's just a matter of time. That would be brilliant. And I don't know about everybody else, but I think this would maybe be the best of a bad situation. Trent made his mind up. That's not on you. That's not on me. He made his decision. But if we end up with Mo and Virgil both staying, I think that's an outcome that at least I can live with. Obviously, we'll talk summer transfer business and what's going to happen there. We don't know what's going to happen there yet, but that's not a bad start. And at least then we know the spine of the team, minus Trent, will still be together. So yes, in answer to the super chat, it does look like this story is heading in the right direction for a positive outcome. I don't know if Liverpool have maybe moved the goalposts on the offer for Mohamed Salah and Virgil, but there's been lots of optimism from journalists today. Not just ones that cover the club, journalists that more broadly cover football as well, that we may get a positive outcome in this one. And I'd be very grateful as a fan if that's the case. Got a feeling Bajcetic will be our midfield solution. I've no problem if Bajcetic is that extra body in midfield. I've no problem at all. But I'd like Arne Slot to confirm that. So then we can at least go, right, our midfield is going to be McAllister, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, Bajcetic, and we'll see what happens with Endo. Because a couple of reports about Eintracht Frankfurt have an interest in Wataru Endo. There was a piece today that said that interest is reciprocated from the player. So if we were to move Endo on, I feel like then we would still have another midfielder to bring in. But right now, as we sit here, we need a right back. If Mo and Virgil get extended, brilliant. That gets rid of two potential headaches. I would still say we need another centre back. Certainly we need to bring in a left back who the manager trusts to compete with Robbo. And then it's whatever happens up top with regards to Darwin moving on or any other forwards. So the window's looking a bit less daunting with this potentially good news about Mo and Virgil. It looks like a far more achievable window for the club to solve what needs to be solved. If we had to replace those three plus all the other work that we needed to, that looks like a bit much for one window. But if Virgil and Mo are staying, and it's, right back, left back, and a forward or two, that seems doable in a window with the right backing from the owners. But then again, hey, do we feel we'll get that backing? Who knows? I won't hold my breath though. I think we spent too long talking about Trent. I want to talk about Mo and Virgil if we can, because Trent's made his mind up. That's happening. But this Egyptian source again said the departure of Trent Alexander-Arnold from Liverpool will be a big factor in Salah's renewal, after reducing the high salaries within the team, allowing the star to get what he wants in his contract with the Reds. I can see some common sense in that one. I don't know if, it's not for me to speak to what Liverpool's thought process was in this negotiation, but I'm sure wanting Trent to stay would have been a priority. Now that we know that he's not going to stay, it makes sense that maybe they can adjust the numbers a little bit for Virgil and Mo, and maybe give them a little bit higher than they initially had offered because maybe they were budgeting to keep all three. So in that scenario, I can understand that. I just hope that we do get the positive news soon, because it would certainly help fans to know that our captain and our talisman will be at the club. Time for Liverpool to focus on players who want to stay. I would agree. And that's what I was saying. I think we've given enough time here to the Trent situation. I'd like to talk about Mohamed Salah and Virgil, because I'd be delighted if those two stay, because it makes the potential transition away from them in a few years' time way more achievable for me than trying to do it all in one window. So Ben Foster on his Fozcast podcast said, and I disagree with Ben on this one, I think VVD is going to go. I think they're all going to go. There's been too much negativity around Liverpool recently, And if they had done it, they would have used it. They have 2 weeks, in my opinion, or it's over. And look, whilst I disagree with what Ben thinks of the situation with regards to the outcome, I don't disagree with him around the negativity around the club, which was entirely avoidable for me. It feels a very strange situation as a Liverpool fan to be absolutely over the moon about winning the league when we didn't really expect it. Yes, we feel frustrated, going out of the Champions League and losing the League Cup final, but he's right about the negativity. Loads of fans have been frustrated by having this dark cloud hanging over what would be, and what is, a tremendous season. And that annoys lots of us. But I do disagree with Ben on this one. I think Virgil stays. But he's right about negativity around it. That was avoidable for me, that negativity around the club. And I think we have to be honest and admit that there has been some. And it is, some of it, a problem of the club's own making. Mary said it's also split the fan base. Yes, we're in need of a moral win at the minute as fans. And look, the league title will go a long way. But, I think it's fair to say that there's been a cloud hanging over the season at times, not knowing the futures of 3 of our big players. Gerrard's words, it means more winning for your people. Yep. Look, people have been playing videos of Trent talking about wanting to stay at Liverpool for his whole career. But something's changed. And I don't know if it's, Bellingham in his ear. I don't know if he fancies a change. But look, ultimately, all I wanted as a fan was a resolution to this, and we've gotten it. We know what's happening, so we can crack on now and look to the future. I don't know how everybody else is feeling about the summer transfer window, but it's been a bit of a mixed one for me this week. I've seen lots of journalists say that Liverpool are going to have a very expensive summer. I'll believe that when I see it, but it's certainly a very important summer. Let's wait and see what happens. Do I believe that we're going to sign Alexander Isak? No, I don't. And I've said this for a while, even though people love to have a pop at me in the comments for reporting a journalist's story that said that Liverpool are open to a couple of players being involved in the potential deal for Alexander Isak. Again, it's no breaking news to know that Newcastle wanted Joel Kwanzaa in the summer. It's no breaking news to know that Joe Gomez's name was mentioned in these negotiations when we were looking at Anthony Gordon. But a lot of journalists today have said that Liverpool have no desire whatsoever to move on Kwanzaa, and they shouldn't, because we need to be adding to the centre-back department, not clearing it out. So I don't see a world where we get Isak. I don't. Would I take him? Yes, of course I would. But I don't expect our owners, knowing what we know about them, to put up that much money in one position. I'd love to be wrong, but I don't have that faith.